What's going on, everyone? I think by now it's safe to say that it is all but a certainty of Kyrie Irving going to Lakers. I think it's a matter of when, not if anymore. And Kyrie Irving has, based on reports, told everybody and anybody that will listen that he is going to the Lakers, whether it's by trade this season or he, goes and signs with them next season. And he is doing this as a way to kind of force himself to the Lakers by putting this out there and having that word get spread. Teams aren't going to trade for Kyrie. Not that there was a bunch of teams lining up for him to begin with, but any teams that maybe had a thought of like, well, maybe we can take him for a year and see how it goes. This all but assures that they're not going to do that because no team is going to want to take Kyrie and he doesn't want to be there. No team is going to take Kyrie and then he just bolts or something along those lines. So Kyrie Irving is essentially forcing the hand of the Brooklyn Nets to trade me to the Lakers. And I imagine that this will happen in the coming days. The big question has been up until this point was, why would the Brooklyn Nets take on Russell Westbrook in a trade for Kyrie Irving? Well, now at this point, it makes a lot of sense because Brooklyn is going to have to trade Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant earlier today said he wants a trade, and therefore you can take on Russell Westbrook for the cap flexibility. You got to keep in mind, the Brooklyn Nets, they don't have any draft picks. I mean, they don't have a draft pick till like 2027 or 2028. I believe it's 2027. So it's not like they can tank and do all this stuff. They need to be as competitive as possible, but beyond that, they need as much flexibility as possible. And taking on Russell Westbrook would give them that. Yes, of course, it could be very clunky with Westbrook and Ben Simmons, but you have options with Russell Westbrook. Now, it's always possible that a third team could get involved, take Westbrook, Lakers get Kyrie, and then the Brooklyn Nets get whatever they get. Like, let's say it's the Hornets trade. But the problem is, does Brooklyn want to be tied up in these contracts for several years? Look at it like this. You're going to get a good return for Kevin Durant. You still have Ben Simmons, right? So you're going to get pieces that very likely are going to have you being at least competitive in the Eastern Conference, at least a play-in spot somewhere along those lines. So assume that you're in that area, you're in that ballpark. Wouldn't it be beneficial to lose Westbrook and then now you have that cap space to go sign another guy, especially if you're like a piece away and, Ben Simmons turns into, Philly Ben Simmons. And let's say, you get a Mikal Bridges and, or something like that. Or, you get a Miles Bridges and PJ Washington and a couple other pieces or, whatever. You get some moves, you make some trades, you do some stuff and you get some assets. I think that would be the most beneficial route for the Brooklyn Nets. Westbrook falls off and now you got that money. But it looks like the Lakers may be having this trade done as soon as tomorrow. Now, as far as the Westbrook and Kyrie trade goes, it is being reported that Kyrie would be going to the Lakers along with Joe Harris, which would be huge for the Lakers. There are some injury concerns, right? I mean, he's coming off of surgery, stuff like that. But the guy was a really good 3-and-D guy about 2 years ago. So I imagine that is a great pickup for the Lakers. But the rumor is Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris for Russell Westbrook and a first-round draft pick and a first swap. So they would get Russell Westbrook and essentially a first-round pick and then a swap. So 2 draft picks depending on where they fall. What pick do you want? That kind of thing. So that would be the essential trade. Apparently, it is being reported that this trade is already lined up and ready to go. Now, it is really late at the time I'm recording this video. It's almost midnight here Pacific time, or 11 p.m. Pacific time. So this likely, if it is a, let's say, done deal, and it really is being reported, there's even reports that some of the ESPN radios have said that this is going to happen, that this is the deal that they've worked out. So again, take it as you may. I'm not saying for sure this will happen, but makes sense. The Brooklyn Nets don't have a lot of options for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has all the leverage here. And I think at this point, they just want to get rid of Kyrie. At least with Westbrook, he's going to play. He's going to show up. He's going to do things that is necessary for the Brooklyn Nets. He's a guy that is going to play night in and night out. You ride him for a year, see how it goes, and then he's gone. That's it. All is right in the world once again. And then for the Lakers, it makes all the sense in the world to get Kyrie Irving, especially if you're getting Joe Harris on it. Adding Joe Harris would be solely just to alleviate as much cap as possible. So Joe Harris does make sense. Some people might be thinking, like, why would the Nets give up Joe Harris when you could give up some other guys? The reason is because if you're going this route and you're going to take Westbrook, you want as much cap off the books next season as possible. And this is something that would do that. So this would be hugely beneficial for both sides. And it finally shows, Brooklyn ultimately just gets off of Kyrie Irving, which is what they want. And then you get the team up of Kyrie and LeBron once again. And I imagine that they're going to have a really solid team. Another kind of clue as to why I think that this is going to happen likely tomorrow or like the next day or something. All of the Lakers signings were for a Kyrie Irving. Like a lot of the guys, they're not the greatest shooters in the world. Granted, it's not like the Lakers had a ton of options, but there were other options they could have probably pursued and maybe that are still even out there right now that they could have pursued to go get that would have fit Russell Westbrook better. But the guys like Lonnie Walker and, Troy Brown Jr. and all of these guys that they got really fit if you have Kyrie Irving because you have that scoring, you have that offense. All you really need are the defensive guys. And everybody they got are really not great shooters, but more just defensive guys. Some of them are a little undersized, but they have ridiculous wingspans. Like even Lonnie Walker, he's 6'4", but he has like a 6'10", 6'11 wingspan. So he's long, he's lengthy, guy that can play defense. Troy Brown, same thing. He's 6'6", but he's got a 6'10 wingspan. A lot of these guys are in that mold or in that vein. Also, THT, if you're still keeping THT, he would fit the mold for a Kyrie Irving, not a Russell Westbrook. A guard, again, 7-foot wingspan, ridiculous, can guard multiple positions, stuff like that. A lot of the moves the Lakers have made this free agency are kind of like, well, if we have Westbrook, these would work the best for for Kyrie. If we had Kyrie, these players would work best for Kyrie. As opposed to if they have Westbrook, a lot of these guys, like Lonnie Walker, is very similar to THT. And that's a big thing, and that's the big question mark. Is like, why did they give up, their vet minimum, or their taxpayer mid level for a Lonnie Walker when they could have went to like a TJ Warren or something like that, a guy that would have fit Russ more. It could also mean, maybe they trade THT, but the problem is that THT doesn't work with Westbrook. But if you get a Kyrie, then THT, Lonnie Walker, Troy Brown, all of these guys really start to fit. And a lot of these guys are better suited for a Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. You don't need a ton of scoring if you have those three. You're going to have plenty of scoring. The issue is, can you stop anybody? And that is what they got. They got a bunch of guys that can be defensive stoppers, a bunch of guys that can really help alleviate, the lack of defense from LeBron and his age, from, Kyrie Irving. Anthony Davis, hopefully, if he's healthy, he's still going to be a defensive monster. So you have that. You end up having, Damian Jones down there, shot blocker, things like that. You can see that a lot of these pieces really fit Kyrie Irving, not Russell Westbrook. So I imagine that they know this is coming. They know that this is happening. They know, all right, Kyrie's going to be a Laker. It's just a matter of working it out and figuring it out. And this reported trade is the trade that I think makes the most sense. Because it becomes so difficult when you start adding 3-4 teams to the mix. When you just do a straight trade, we have an agreement, that's it. But as soon as you add a third team and stuff, it gets very diluted, very complicated. At any point, that trade could just fall apart. I mean, it happened with the Lakers last year. They were supposed to get Cam Reddish. They had the deal lined up. Everything was ready to go. It was a 3-team deal. And New York wanted more picks. And they were the third leg that ended up falling off. So the trade fell apart and it didn't happen. And it happens so many times. You get these 3-team deals and one of the teams ends up getting greedy or they want more. Or they just, get cold feet or whatever. And it just falls apart. So it makes more sense from a Brooklyn side to just say, hey, let's swap it up. It also gives them so much flexibility with Westbrook. You can go and maybe you trade Westbrook to another team, or you ride it out, or you go the John Wall route, send him home, or you buy him out, or whatever. There's so many options that they have. You're going to get rid of Kevin Durant. I think that this didn't make sense up until Kevin Durant said, I'm gone, I want you to trade me. Now that happened, I think taking on Westbrook makes a ton of sense because you need that flexibility going forward. Whatever you get for Kevin Durant, you need that flexibility going forward because you don't want to be locked into a bunch of bad contracts and now you're stuck. You don't want to get a bunch of things because that's the only way this is going to happen otherwise. That means Brooklyn, if they don't want Westbrook, they're going to have to take on like a Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier. Yeah, they're nice players, but they're not going to help you be competitive today. and you're locked into them for the next, 2 to 4 years. And so it's just like, it makes no sense to keep them around. It makes no sense to just, play these games. Just, you're giving us a first round pick, you're giving us a pick swap. So they're essentially getting 2 picks. And on top of that, you're getting, Russell Westbrook. You're getting rid of all of that salary with Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for all sides now, given the circumstances. Wouldn't have really been a win for the Brooklyn Nets prior, but now that all the events have unfolded, it really is. This is probably best case scenario for the Brooklyn Nets. But as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about Kyrie Irving going to Lakers? Do you think it happens? Do you think it doesn't happen? Do you think that, it sounds like they have the deal lined up? Like I said, it is being reported that they have the deal ready to go, that they've already come to terms that this is the deal that was discussed. And like I said, there's some ESPN sports stations, I believe New York, another one, maybe it was Chicago, like these ESPN channels were saying that this deal is done, like it's ready to go, that they've essentially agreed to it. Now, like I said, why hasn't they made the announcement yet? It's late, right? Like I said, here, the exact time of where I'm at is 11:06 p.m. So at 11:06 p.m., they're not making an announcement for that trade. They'll wait till the morning. So it's very likely that we could all wake up tomorrow morning and there is a Kyrie Irving trade to the Lakers. But again, would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I'm about 99% sure that this is going to happen. Even if it's not tomorrow, within the next week, I think Kyrie Irving is going to be a Laker. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.